welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can make an amazing life for yourself in sales. And today's guest is no stranger to that journey. He's a marketing expert from all across the world. He's my new friend, Mr. Matt Diamante. How you doing today, partner?
Oh man, I'm great. Can we date this episode by saying something that happened today on this specific date?
Yeah, come on with it.
Okay, I'm doing really great because the Nintendo Switch 2 just came out, and I didn't pre-order it. Walked into a Walmart and I was like, "Hey, do you guys have it?" And they were like, "Yeah." So today's going really good for me. I got a Switch. I'm gonna play as soon as we're done this podcast. I'm not working today.
That's awesome. I actually, in one of our group chats, there was someone talking about people were camped outside the Best Buy or something like that trying to get them. And so kudos to you for being able to jump in.
Just walked
and
in.
hey man, sometimes all you gotta do to make a sale is ask for it. And
Yep.
you did that. And so now I'm excited to dive into your crazy sales story so we can really kick this thing off, man.
Oh my God. Okay. So it's actually like, I want to do the reverse. It's not me selling, it's somebody who sold me.
Okay.
And because I am a marketer, I'm like sales and marketing go hand in hand. And I feel like there's a lot of salespeople who are like, marketing's, fucking this up, or marketing is like sales fucked it up. We got them to the finish line, all this kind of stuff. And so I was looking to start an online community, so to teach people about SEO and how to rank on Google, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what platform do I go with? So I'm doing all this research. I'm on Google, all this kind of stuff. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to use Slack because everybody's using Slack. If you run a business, if you work at any kind of business, you're probably on Slack or Teams or something. So I do a Google search. I'm like, okay, can you start a community on Slack? Like, what are the limitations? How many people can you have in there? How do I charge people to be in there? Can I kick people out easily? All this stuff. And I came across this article and I was like, okay, here's the pros and cons of building a community on Slack, which somebody wrote an entire article about, which is crazy. And then there's one link in the article, like not like a call out, not a buy now, not anything like that. It just said, if you're looking for an all-in-one community platform, and that word was linked to another page, and I was like, okay. So I clicked on that link and I'm like, man, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I ended up spending like $20,000 with this company. And like I did go through like their sales process, but I was just like, yeah, shut up. When can we start? How long does this take? So I'm like, from somebody including a link on a blog post. Wow, that was weird with my voice. A link on a blog post. I ended up spending like 20 grand with these guys, working with them for multiple years, all this kind of stuff. And to me, I'm like, the salespeople almost got in the way of the sale because I'm like, here's my credit card. I'm ready to buy. When can we start? How long does this take? And they're like, well, let's go through the demo. I'm like, I don't need the demo. I already know all that kind of shit. So yeah, that's my crazy sales story. A link made somebody 20 grand.
I think that's so underrated in the sense of like, you really have to know where your prospect is in their journey. You have to be able to go in and basically say, all right, do you know much about us? Or like, how much research have you done? What do you like?
Yeah.
What made you decide to check out this platform? And so that's interesting because it's something I see a lot of sales professionals do, unfortunately, is they want to force it through their process.
Yeah, go through the channel. Yeah.
And I understand that because, a process exists for a reason. It's just like in marketing, we have a process for how we set things up because if it doesn't get set up correctly, as you know, it's going to go haywire. So when you're, I love how you talked about marketing and sales and how the two realms kind of hate each other sometimes. And also it's the most important relationship in any business. And
100%.
So what got you into marketing and how do you use your marketing to be also a savage sales professional?
So I got into marketing actually. So back in the day I was in a band and I was like, man, my parents are like on my ass. They're like, go to college. I had already gone to college for a year for heating and cooling. And I was like, fuck this. I hate that. I don't want to work in somebody's dingy basement where it's cold or too hot. I'm fixing the furnace, AC, whatever. So I was like, what can I convince them? Because they're like, we'll pay for you to go back to college. And I was like, okay, advertising. I'm going to go to school for advertising because at least I can learn stuff. And this is my thinking. At least I can learn stuff to promote my band. Right? I'll learn about social media, how to build a website, how to, market the band, all this kind of stuff. And I ended up falling in love with the process of marketing, and the band kind of, fizzled away halfway through school. And I was just like, oh, this is really interesting. It's just like a giant puzzle, right? That I just need to find pieces to put in, and there's no right way to do it. There's a lot of wrong ways, but there's no right way to do it. And that kind of led me to freelancing around all this kind of stuff. Like I've always had to be a salesperson, even when I was in the band. It's like, hey, buy tickets to come see my show. Like, dude, we would set up like downtown. I grew up in a city called Windsor, across from Detroit. I
Okay.
think Jimmy Kimmel called it Canada's butthole, something like that. Um, so that's where I grew up, and I would literally, me and a couple guys from the band would go downtown with a couple stools and acoustic guitars and give away our music for free to promote the show. So it's like, hey, we're playing next Saturday at so and so venue. Here's a burnt CD with like 3 songs from each band that's playing, and we're just playing acoustic guitar, giving away the CDs, all this kind of stuff. And even before that, actually around the same time, are you still there? It looks like you're frozen. Okay, you're still there. You
Here we
froze
go.
out for a sec.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we use a Starlink internet, and there's a storm rolling
Oh
through.
shit.
So every once in a while, it
Dang.
does some funky stuff. But where
That's sick.
what I heard you saying is that basically you go downtown, you give away
Yep.
your content for free,
Yep.
and you use it to promote yourself to get people to come to the show.
Yeah.
And
And
it isn't it interesting how that continues to work even to this day.
it's you need the content to do the sales, right? And so around the same time, I was like, you know what? I heard about this guy who was going door to door playing his acoustic guitar and selling his record. And I was like, let's do that, but I don't want to play the music. Let's just go see if we could sell. So literally like hundreds and thousands of houses we went to and just knocked on the door, like middle of the day, weekend, whatever. And it doesn't matter who it was, like old man, young woman, kids, like, hey, do you want to buy our CD? It's $10, all this kind of stuff. And like, man, we were making like $100 an hour just by asking, right? It's wild, but nobody has the the guts to go out. Not nobody, but a lot of people are just like, I'm going to sit at home and hope that something happens, hope that people come listen to my music or buy my thing or whatever it might be. So that was kind of like where I started in selling myself and like sales, I guess. And then that leads me to now. Actually, I recently hired 2 salespeople because I realized I suck at sales. Right. Because I'm very technical. I can tell you how to do all your marketing. I can tell you what's wrong, what's all this kind of stuff. But I'm not the guy to push it over the edge, I realized. And I just hired these 2 salespeople, and in one day they closed 5 deals. And I was like, that's more than I've closed myself in like in an entire month. Like, and they're like, well, like, how do we do this? I'm like, you guys know better than me, like how to close. Like, go do whatever you need to do. I will support you. And yeah, that's it.
Essentially, though, what I find interesting is for entrepreneurs is when they go into a thing that they're passionate about and they're like new to the game, they have no fear. Like they'll just
Yep.
go and they'll sell and they'll talk about the thing, and over time it's almost like you have this bias because you know so much information, it's hard for you to go out and promote yourself and to sell
Yeah.
yourself. And I see this all the time, and I can even speak to my own, when we left and went from corporate to building Call the Damn Leads, it's a lot easier to sell someone else's stuff. And I think
100%.
it's because you're not responsible for the actual delivery of the product or the service,
Yeah.
right? You're just a middleman. And so when it comes to actually selling yourself, there's a shift that happens, and people are like, hey, I'd rather let someone else go sell it and just focus on doing what I do best.
Yep.
And I really think that it does happen to a lot of people, and it's the progression of entrepreneur, solopreneur to actual business owner.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you were talking earlier, marketing and sales starts to have these back and forths of like, okay, well, in the marketing side of things, this is how we acquire interest,
Yep.
content, lead generation, whatever the case may be. And then the sales side really has to go out and just be 100% focused on influencing, convincing, whatever, persuading, whatever word you want to use,
Yeah.
the other audience to actually want to use your product or services. So how was that transition for you? I mean, was it like a, hey, I'm just going to go and hire these people, or was it something that you had to lead up to?
It was something that was necessary. So because I'm running my company. I do have somebody who's running the day-to-day of the company, but there's still a lot of questions. And, my team, I have 16 people on the team now, which is crazy.
That's a big team.
Never thought I'd run a team this big, but they have questions. They need help with strategy or maybe some execution, or something's not just not going right. So they tap me and I come in and hopefully save the day. But with that, I'm falling behind on my emails. And as you know, one of the most important things with sales is like somebody fills out that contact form, somebody should be calling them right away, responding to their email, getting them on the phone, booking a call, whatever it is. Like from when they fill out that contact form, the shortest possible time frame to get them to pay is what you should be aiming for. I'm like, I can't do that. Like I'm getting like a couple hundred emails a day. I have to sift through them, look through them. I have to do all this other stuff. And on top of that, I'm making content, right? I'm really, really good. And this is what I realized. I'm really good at top of funnel. I can get people in, I can warm people up, but I don't have time to close people and all that kind of stuff. But the thing with creating the content is it is driving so many leads and so many inquiries that I need to keep doing it. If I stop doing that content, if I stop spending like 4+ hours a day creating content, like this podcast is, one of those kind of things, right? So if I stop doing that, the leads will stop coming in and the salespeople won't have anything to go off of. I'm not going to have them start doing cold calls when the people filling out the contact form have watched like 20 to 100 of my videos or more, been following me for a couple years, and they get on the phone and they're like, okay, I want to work with you. Like, let's do this. And it's not like convince me to work with you. It's like I want to work with you, right?
Well, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier is like, hey, you did your research, you went through the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, you basically went to right to the bottom of the funnel. It was like, hey, I want to buy
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that there are different stages of the customer journey, right? There's completely cold traffic. They have no idea who you are. They don't like you. They definitely don't trust you enough to give you their credit card.
Yeah.
And that process, that's where the marketing and sales really has to work together and understand, because sales guys are on the front line. They're
Yeah.
having the conversations. They understand what the common conversation looks like. They know what people are saying, what the main objections are. And when you can bring the sales team and the marketing team together, you can really create a seamless flow from absolute cold traffic, no idea who you are, to timeline of, hey, if they see my first video today, then
Yeah.
we know within 90 days there's a 37% chance that they're going to do business with us.
I have no idea what that stat is. All I know is like there are some people who have been following me for like 2 years who are like, and I know that because they send in their, in the contact form, they're like, hey, I've been following you for 2 years, been getting my business up to a point where we can hire you, saving money, whatever, getting a loan. I don't like really taking on clients who are getting a loan to work with me,
That's
just because
dangerous.
I'm like, that's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't perform and you don't make money, you're going to be pissed at me, and now you owe the bank a bunch of cash. And I'm not saying that it doesn't perform, but it takes time, especially with SEO.
Marketing is marketing, man. That's a whole other conversation we could get into.
Yeah. So, yeah, sometimes it's like 2 years it takes people. Sometimes it's 3 months. Sometimes, like, I have somebody who we told, like, we can't work with you because we have a conflict. Like, we have another business in the exact same industry. And it would be detrimental to both of you if we worked with both of you. And they follow up every single month saying, hey, are you still working with that other company? Hey, are you still working with that other company? And when and if that other company is like, you know what, we're not going to do the contract, I'm like, cool, spots filled, right?
Yep. Well, and I,
It's
I
it's
think
insane.
that's the cool thing about creating content and just knowing that it's evergreen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's the thing I think a lot of sales professionals forget about is people buy from people. They don't care about your logo. They don't
Thank you
care
for
about
saying
your
that, dude.
all the things, right? Like they buy from people.
Yes.
And especially right now with AI and all these people that are like, let me create you a chatbot or use our AI call center.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's the future. I'm not saying that I don't recognize it. And
Yeah.
also, I know that the more people I speak to about this, the more they smash that zero button to get to an operator, right? They hate the
Yeah.
IVR systems. Like,
Yeah.
tell us about your problem. No, I don't want to talk to a robot. I want to talk to an actual human who understands the nuance of this
Yeah.
situation. And AI is not there yet. Are you
Man,
guys
how
using AI in your systems at all?
yes. So we're using AI in terms of like to actually create content. So to create blog posts and stuff like that.
Yep.
We're using it to create images. In terms of actually using it in the sales process, I had to turn it off because we had so if somebody would text the number or whatever, like quote unquote my phone number,
Mm-hmm.
they would text it and this AI bot would say, "Oh, like yeah," they'd respond, interact with them, text them back, and then be like, "Okay, when would you like an appointment?" Somebody would say the soonest available, and then the AI bot would go, "How's tomorrow?" And the guy would go, "Great, what time?" They'd be like 3 p.m. and they'd be like, "Cool, let's do tomorrow 3 p.m." Then the AI is like, actually, that's not available." And it's like, what about? And then the person's like, what about the next day at 3 p.m.? Actually, we don't have any availability for 2 weeks. And that it was just frustrating people. I was like, it's first of all, the AI is messing up. It has access to the calendar, like my calendar and the salespeople's got like, it's not doing something right. We have to continue to like reprompt it and add additional stuff. And we did that for a couple months. And I was like, it's not worth it. Like, I'd rather somebody just like they get a message saying like, hey, we got your text. We'll be in touch shortly. Whatever it is, and then a salesperson can reach out. It just I I don't try if I can control the AI and I can see the output before anybody else sees it. Yes, all day, every day, let's do that. But if it's making promises and maybe we just didn't have like proper safeguards set up, it was just frustrating people.
It's well, and I as a salesperson, I'm always looking, hey, what's on the cutting edge? What are the things that we can increase speed, increase efficiency, and ultimately create more conversations because it's
Yeah.
output equals input, right?
Yep.
And also the AI, the as you were saying, you can create prompts, you can create safeguards, you can create all these different things and it still manages to go outside of that box.
Yeah.
Like no matter how great you prompt it, like it will go outside of that box. And so I'm very much about use it to create content. It's the
Yeah.
one thing that can save you hours and hours and hours of time because it
Yeah.
is probably smarter than you. It's probably a better copywriter than you. It's probably going to know
It's a
more about
hundred
a
percent a
certain
better
topic. Like
copywriter.
that's how it
Yeah.
is. And also, though, people still want to work with people. And so I'd be curious to know, like, in your agency, what does that level of communication look like? How do you make sure that you're, communicating from a marketing standpoint of, hey, we're here to generate interest in your product or service,
Yep.
and also helping your clients understand that the speed to lead that you mentioned earlier, hey, if we're getting you a lead, there has to be an actual process and a flow to this. Because I owned a marketing company and Call the
Yep.
Damn Leads exists because I was really great at marketing. I could
Yeah.
get people into your database, but if you don't call them, then
Yeah.
what's the whole point?
Yeah, 100%. So we drive traffic to to our client websites through Google, and that's where our job is done. Right? It's up to them if somebody's filling out their contact form, if they need to do conversion rate optimization, like we'll give them tips like, "Hey, your phone number's not on the site," or add a big button that says get a free quote or whatever it might be. And we build the content out with links like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, to buy their product or buy their service or whatever it is, and we feature that in those blog posts. Um, but it's really like if they don't have that process set up on their end, like that's not something that I can help them with because I'm not that great at that next part,
And
right?
I'd be curious to know what your sales team like if they lean in on that of like, hey, we're gonna get this, but we need to know that you have a process for once we get you the lead. Because to me, that was like one of the things we had to put in was a
Right,
pre-qualifying question of, hey, when you get a lead, what happens?
right,
Most people can't
yeah.
tell you. They don't know.
It's
They have no
but
idea.
we work with all kinds of different businesses, so it's everything from like plastic surgeons to florists to a dentist down the street, and I know everybody has different leads or like e-commerce kind of stuff, and they all have different turnarounds and that. stuff. So if it's somebody who can buy a product or order online, like there's nothing that we need to do, right? People are just buying it, and there's nothing that client needs to do. They just need to fulfill the order, whatever that is, and
Yep.
that is usually my favorite one to do because it's so easy. Somebody has a problem, they're buying, or somebody needs your item, and they're buying it, and you just need to ship it out.
Yeah, and this is why I love sales and I love marketing. Like I was always a sales guy that learned to do marketing. So I was like, hey, if I can get
Yeah,
my own leads, I can write my own paycheck. And
yeah,
I too fell in love with the marketing side because it's so interesting, the psychology and the different ways you can create engagement and attention. And
yep,
content is a big one. That's why we do this podcast, because ultimately I could sit here and talk to myself on a TV screen all day long, but it gets kind of boring. That's why I like to do
yeah,
interviews and bring people in, because you get different perspectives. You get to see that even though I might be saying something and you're saying something very similar, two
yeah,
different perspectives, two different ways of hearing it means that someone might actually take action on the thing that they're learning. And that to me is always the most
yeah,
important part of every conversation is, hey, learn something and do something with it. And what I'd be real curious, because we're getting close to time here,
yep.
um, as you start progressing, where do you go from here with it? Do you keep growing your team? Do you stay tight knit and just kind of live where you are? Like, what's your future plans from here?
So I tried to be like, we're going to stay like under 10 people at the agency. We can handle X amount of clients, and that's X amount of revenue with profit and yada, 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 all that stuff. And I was just like, what if, right? What if we grew? What if we didn't have a waiting list? Because I kept telling people on calls, like, hey, we have a wait list. It's going to be 2 months before we can start with you. And, time to start, that is a huge delay. And a lot of people were turned off by that. And there's even people on Reddit talking about me being like, is it true that this guy has a waiting list? He talks about how he has a waiting list because he makes so much content. And I'm responding to these people. I'm like, yes, it is true. But it does the reverse of what you think. You're like, oh, it's going to be like this exclusive thing where people are like on a wait list and they can't wait to start. But in reality, it's like they've paid their invoice already because that's how we hold their spot. So they've paid their invoice and now they're like, cool, I'm out $3,000 or $4,000 for 2 months until these guys can start.
Mm,
Like, I don't know if I want to do that. Right. So there's a little bit more pain point there. And now we're just like, you know what? If it's Thursday today, you sign up today, we do onboarding tomorrow, and you officially start Monday. Like, we're quick turnaround. Like, I want to, and I, I read a lot of business, marketing, sales books, all that kind of stuff. So like the Alex Hermosi stuff, I don't know how you feel about him
I like
100%, but
Famosa. He's a great dude. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a lot of his stuff, it's like you need to give people wins as quick as possible. Like when they go to a store and they swipe their credit card, they get the item right away, right? But if you're selling like marketing or like a service, how can you give people those wins as quickly as possible? So we have stuff implemented like, okay, if they sign up today, onboarding is tomorrow, they feel like there's progress being made. By Monday, they already have keyword research, they have topics, they have stuff to approve. And then, we're already starting. So within that first week, they already have blog posts out, they have content out, we have access to their website. We've already started fixing things. Like we're showing them all these like quote unquote wins, like here's what you paid for. But then on top of that, it takes like for SEO to actually see results like 6 months, sometimes closer to 12 months to really see like an uptick in your analytics. So I'm like, what can we do on top of that? Like, how can we showcase emotional wins? It's like, congrats, we just published your first blog post, or like, hey, the keywords that we're going after, they're starting to climb in the rankings. Here's a screenshot of where you were and where you are now. Right? It's like, hey, we just got you backlinks, or you're featured in this thing. So it's like it's creating all those wins to keep the client happy once they've signed up. So like you sign up with us, it's like, yeah, man, I'm winning right off the bat, even though your analytics haven't gone up yet.
I love that. And as a sales guy, and I hope those of you in sales are listening, one of the things that I did that made me very successful and get a boatload of referrals is I made sure that process went well after I closed the deal. So many
Yep.
people close a deal, they just move on to the next lead, they move on to the next sale, like they forget about their current clients. And I promise you, your current book of business, the people who already know, like, and trust you, they're way more excited to send you referrals and opportunity if you're making sure that they're getting the win they signed up for.
Yep.
And so,
100%.
man,
Did
go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, did you ever hear the saying like 20% of your clients are leaving and 20% are coming in the door, and that 60% are like the core base of your clientele? Did you ever hear
I
that?
always live by like 80-20, but yeah, 60
Okay.
40. That's probably about right too. Because you got attrition and people come and people go. And
Yeah.
as you know, man, you can do really great at your job, but if they're not great at theirs,
Yep.
nothing you can do about that.
Okay. That's good to know. 80-20. Let's do it.
Yep. And man, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this marketing and sales all day long, but I want to
100%.
be respectful of your time because I know how important and valuable it is.
Dude, I
I'm
got that
glad that
Nintendo Switch waiting for me. The Switch
I
2.
know, man. You got some fun stuff to do today, but that all comes from building a business with systems, with processes, and giving you the freedom to actually live the life that you want to live. And that's again a whole topic that we could probably nerd out on. But I want to give people a little bit of reason to come and check you out. So how do we find you, follow you, check out what you got going on, and learn more about your business?
Literally just Google my name, Matt Diamante. It's in the probably title of this podcast. It's in the show notes. I'm sure you're gonna have links to my social media in there
Yep.
as well. My handle is always like Hey Tony Agency or Hey Tony Agency or something like that. But I will say it is always the account that has the most followers on whatever platform you're using. There's a lot of people out there trying to pretend to be me, trying to sell people crypto
Mm.
or investment shit. I don't do anything like that. So it's always the account that has the most followers with my name and my picture and all that kind of stuff. So just watch out there, guys. It's
Hey,
crazy.
I appreciate that. Now, normally I ask people for one piece of sales advice that they'd give someone, but since you're more on the marketing side, I want to ask what's one simple piece of marketing advice that sales
Oh my god,
professionals can go and use to be successful today?
this is both marketing and sales. So we all know Gary Vee.
Yep.
We should all know Gary Vee. He wrote a book years ago called Jab 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 Right Hook. Have you read it, Drewby?
I've read the Cliff Notes. I haven't read the whole book, though.
Okay. It's a little bit dated in some of the the platforms he talks about, but the core concept is the jabs are free content that you put out, and the right hook is you selling your product. So you want to have a lot more jabs, which is free content, free information. Show people how to do your job. Don't be scared that somebody's going to just watch your videos and go do it, because if they want to do that, they will find somebody else to follow and do that. It's the people who are like they want to do it, realize they either can't or how much time it takes, or they get it to a place where they're like, I'm going to hand this off to you now. Those are the people who are going to be your customers. And then the right hook is like, hey, we're taking on clients, right? Then they contact you. You're not selling all the time. If you sell all the time, nobody's going to give a fuck about you. Nobody's going to watch your shit because like, okay, I'm just waiting to be sold. But if you keep providing them with free content, valuable information, entertaining content, whatever it is, like people get to know you, then they get on that sales call and they're like, hey man, I know you. I feel like I know you. I've been with you for like 2 years. How's it going? And I'm like, oh, Drewby, first time, like it's the first time I'm meeting you, but a lot of people, they've already watched my content. They're familiar with me. And that makes the sales process so much easier. Holy
I will
shit.
100% agree with that. When we run funnels for my books and all the different things that we have going on, and it's always so fun when I pick up the phone and I call a lead. And they're booked on my calendar, so it's not even like I'm just randomly calling them. But I pick up the
Yeah.
phone, I'm like, "Hey, this is Drewby," and they're like, "Wait, the real Drewby, the guy that wrote the book? Oh my god, this is incredible!"
The real
And
Slim Shady?
the
Yeah.
real Slim Shady, the level of trust goes through the roof. And what's
Yep.
interesting is when they've heard your voice and they've seen your face and they
Yeah.
know you, it makes the conversation so much more genuine. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the other reasons I love doing this podcast is because we get to meet so many interesting people, we get to hear so many interesting stories, and when we have those conversations, there's things that we can reflect back to. And those memories
100%.
create emotion, and the emotion is really people buy on emotion, but they like make logical decisions. It's like the weirdest thing. They got to feel good about it, and even if it doesn't make 100% sense, as long as they feel good, they're going to give it a shot. And so I love that advice. And I love the idea of putting out the content and just making people know you, like what you have going on. And that
Yep.
level of trust builds every time they watch a video, every time they read a blog, every time they check your email. So, Matt, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Yeah.
I know
Thank
you're
you.
excited to go play the Switch, so I don't want to keep you any longer, man. You guys know what to do from here. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend, send it to somebody who absolutely sucks at sales so that they can get better. And more importantly, make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, do all those things so that more awesome people like you can come check out the show. And also, if you have an awesome sales story, I would love to share your story with the audience that we have built here from all the other amazing guests that we've had. So head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. Let's get you booked on. You guys know what to do from here. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you next time.